They called me a gold digger at dinner, laughed about it, made jokes about how I trapped their son for his money. I sat there quietly, fork in hand, and said nothing. 24 hours later, I walked into their family estate with a deed that had my name on it. Their faces when they realized what happened was worth every insult. Money changes people, or maybe it just reveals who they really are. When you marry someone wealthy, everyone has an opinion. Everyone thinks they know your intentions. Everyone assumes you're after something. My husband's family decided I was a gold digger the moment they met me. They made sure I knew it too. For 2 years, I endured their comments, their looks, their treatment. Then one day, everything flipped, and the people who thought they were better than me had to face a reality they never saw coming. This is how it happened. My name is Rachel. I'm 31 years old. I grew up in a small town where nobody had much of anything. My parents worked factory jobs. We lived paycheck to paycheck. I wore hand-me-downs and ate whatever was cheap. We weren't miserable, but we definitely weren't comfortable. I worked hard in school, got a scholarship to community college, then transferred to a university, graduated with a degree in marketing, got a decent job at a mid-sized company in the city. Nothing glamorous, but I was proud of myself. I made it out. I built something from nothing. That's where I met David. He worked in finance, different department, different floor, but we'd see each other in the elevator sometimes, in the cafeteria, at company events. He was nice, normal. We started talking, then we started having coffee together, then dinners, then dates. 6 months in, he told me about his family. They were wealthy, like really wealthy. His grandfather built a manufacturing business decades ago. His father expanded it. Now they had money most people only dream about. Multiple properties, investments, the whole thing. David was set to inherit part of it eventually, but he worked anyway. Said he didn't want to be the lazy rich kid living off family money. I respected that. He was grounded, humble, not flashy. You'd never know he came from money by looking at him. We dated for 2 years before he proposed, and honestly, those were the best 2 years of my life. He treated me like an equal, never made me feel less than, never acted like his money made him better than me. But then I met his family. David wanted me to meet his parents before we got engaged, said it was important to him that they liked me. I was nervous, but excited. I wanted to make a good impression. We drove to their estate on a Saturday afternoon. And when I say estate, I mean it. Massive house, gated property, manicured lawns. It looked like something out of a movie. His mother, Catherine, answered the door. She was dressed like she was going to a country club. Pearls, silk blouse, perfect hair. She looked me up and down before even saying hello. "So, you're Rachel," she said, and her tone told me everything I needed to know. His father, Richard, was in the sitting room. Yes, sitting room, not living room. He barely looked up when we walked in, just grunted a greeting and went back to his newspaper. David's sister, Miranda, showed up an hour later. She was worse than both of them combined. Looked at me like I was dirt on her shoe. Dinner was painful. They asked me questions, but not the nice getting to know you kind. They asked where I went to school, what my parents did for a living, where I grew up. Every answer I gave seemed to confirm something they'd already decided about me. Catherine kept making little comments. Things like, "How nice that you worked your way through college," in a tone that suggested it wasn't nice at all. Or, "David has always been so generous with his friends. Like I was some charity case he picked up." Richard asked what I did for work. When I told him marketing, he scoffed, said it wasn't a real career, said people in marketing were just glorified salespeople. Miranda didn't even pretend to be polite. She straight up asked how long David and I had been dating. When he said 2 years, she raised her eyebrows and said, "Wow, you held out longer than most." I didn't understand what she meant at first. Then it hit me. She was implying I was waiting for him to propose so I could get his money. David jumped in immediately, told her that was inappropriate, told her I wasn't like that, but the damage was done. I could see it in their faces. They'd made up their minds about me, and nothing was going to change them. We left shortly after. I cried the whole drive home. David apologized over and over, said his family could be difficult, said they'd warm up to me eventually. They didn't. David proposed 3 months later. I said yes because I loved him, not because of his family. I knew marrying him meant dealing with them, but I thought maybe once we were actually married, they'd ease up. I was wrong. Planning the wedding was a nightmare. Catherine wanted to control everything: the venue, the flowers, the guest list. She kept saying things like, "We can't have it look cheap," or "People will be watching, we need to maintain standards." She made comments about my dress, about my family, about the fact that my side of the church would be significantly smaller than theirs. At the rehearsal dinner, Miranda gave a speech. It was supposed to be sweet about her brother finding love. Instead, she made a joke about how David always had a soft spot for strays. Everyone laughed. I wanted to disappear. Richard didn't even come to the rehearsal, said he was busy, sent his assistant to drop off a check instead. The wedding itself was beautiful, but I felt like a guest at my own event. Catherine had planned it more for her social circle than for us. People I didn't know. People who looked at me with the same judgment as David's family. During the reception, I overheard some relatives talking. One of them said, "She's pretty, I'll give her that. Smart move on her part." Another replied, "Oh please, we all know what this is. Give it 5 years and she'll walk away with half his money." They didn't even care that I might hear them. David's uncle cornered me at one point, asked me to sign a post-nuptial agreement, said it was just to protect the family assets. I was so humiliated I almost left. David found out and lost it on his uncle, threw him out of the reception. That night, in our hotel room, David held me while I cried. "I'm sorry," he kept saying. "I'm so sorry they're like this." "Why do they hate me so much?" I asked. "They don't hate you. They're just suspicious of anyone who isn't from their world. They think everyone's after the money." "I don't care about the money." I know you don't." He was quiet for a minute. Then he said something I didn't fully understand at the time. "I'm going to fix this. I promise." We moved into a house David bought for us, not with family money, with money he'd earned himself. It was modest compared to what his family had, but it was perfect for us. Still, we had to see his family regularly: dinners, holidays, family events, and every single time it was the same thing. Catherine would make comments about my clothes, my hair, the food I brought. Nothing was ever good enough. Richard ignored me completely, acted like I wasn't even there. Miranda was openly hostile. She'd post things on social media about people who marry for money or gold diggers. Never mentioned me by name, but it was obvious. David's extended family followed their lead. Cousins who barely knew me acted like I was beneath them. Aunts and uncles made snide remarks. I was always the outsider, always the girl who didn't belong. The worst was at family gatherings. They'd talk about business and investments and properties, and if I tried to contribute to the conversation, they'd either ignore me or talk over me, like my opinion didn't matter because I didn't come from money. One Thanksgiving, Miranda brought her new boyfriend. He was from another wealthy family. Catherine spent the entire dinner praising him, talking about how wonderful it was that Miranda found someone appropriate. The implication was clear. I wasn't appropriate. I wasn't good enough. David defended me when he could, but it was exhausting for both of us. He started pulling away from his family, skipping events, making excuses. It caused tension between him and his parents. Catherine called him one day and I heard the whole conversation. She said he was throwing his life away for me. Said I'd already isolated him from his family. Said once I got what I wanted, I'd leave him with nothing. David hung up on her. That night, he sat me down. He said, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "My grandfather left me something when he died. A property, the original family estate, before they built the new one. It's been sitting empty for years." "Okay." "I'm putting it in your name." I stared at him. "What?" "The deed. I'm transferring it to you, solely to you, not joint ownership, just you." "David, I can't accept that. That's your family's property." "It's mine to do with as I please, and I want you to have it." "But why?" He took my hands. "Because I need you to know that I trust you, that I believe in you, that I see you as my equal, even if my family doesn't. And because if anything ever happens, I want you to be protected. I want you to have something that's yours." I cried. Not because of the property, but because of what it meant. He was choosing me over his family's approval. He was making a statement. "Are you sure?" I asked. He said, "I've never been more sure of anything." 2 weeks later, the papers were signed, the estate was mine. David didn't tell his family, said it wasn't their business, said it was between us. I didn't think much about it after that. It was just a piece of paper, a gesture of love and trust. The property was old and needed work anyway. We had no plans to do anything with it. But then, everything changed. 6 months after David transferred the property, his parents invited us to dinner, said they wanted to talk about something important. We showed up on a Friday night. Catherine had made reservations at some expensive restaurant, the kind where the menu doesn't have prices and the portions are tiny. Richard, Catherine, and Miranda were already there when we arrived. They were dressed up, serious expressions on their faces. We sat down, ordered drinks, made small talk. Then Richard got to the point. "We need to discuss your financial situation," he said, looking at David. "What about it?" David asked. "You're spending irresponsibly. That house you bought was overpriced. You're depleting your savings. You need to think about your future." "My finances are fine, Dad." "They won't be if you keep letting her influence your decisions," Catherine said, glancing at me. "Excuse me?" I said. "Oh, don't play innocent," Miranda chimed in. "We all know what this is. You got your hooks in him, and now you're bleeding him dry." "That's enough," David said, voice hard. "It's not enough," Richard continued. "We've been patient. We've tried to be welcoming, but it's clear she's only interested in what you can provide." My face burned. "That's not true." "Isn't it?" Catherine said. "You came from nothing. You had nothing. And now you're married to our son, living in a house you could never afford on your own, enjoying a lifestyle you never earned." "I work. I earn my own money." "Please," Miranda scoffed. "What you make is pocket change compared to what David provides. You're a gold digger. Just admit it." I looked at David. He was shaking with anger. "We're leaving," he said, standing up. "Sit down," Richard commanded. "We're not finished." "Yes, you are. You've insulted my wife for the last time." "Your wife," Catherine said, voice dripping with disdain, "is using you, and we're not going to stand by and watch her destroy this family." "She hasn't destroyed anything. You've done that yourselves." We left. The entire restaurant stared as we walked out. I was shaking. David was furious. We drove home in silence. That night, David made a phone call. I couldn't hear who he was talking to, but he was on the phone for over an hour. When he came back to the living room, he had a strange look on his face. "What?" I asked. I called my lawyer, told him what happened. He's going to send some documents to my parents' house. "What kind of documents?" He smiled. A cold smile I'd never seen before. "You'll see." 3 days later, David's phone started ringing. It was Richard. David let it go to voicemail. Then Catherine called. Voicemail. Then Miranda. Voicemail. Text messages started pouring in. Angry texts, confused texts, demanding texts. Finally, David answered a call from his father. "What the hell did you do?" Richard shouted, loud enough that I could hear from across the room. "I have no idea what you're talking about," David said calmly. "The estate, the old property, you transferred it to her?" "That's my business." "That property belongs to this family." "No, it belonged to me. Grandpa left it to me. I gave it to my wife." There was sputtering on the other end, then Catherine's voice in the background, high-pitched and angry. "You gave her our family's estate?" Richard repeated, like he couldn't believe it. "Yes." "How could you be so stupid, so reckless? That property is worth millions." "I am aware." "She doesn't deserve it. She didn't earn it." "Neither did I. Grandpa left it to me as a gift. I gave it to Rachel as a gift. That's how gifts work." More yelling. More background noise. Then the line went dead. David looked at me. That went well. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Over the next few days, the calls and texts continued. Miranda sent me a message calling me every name in the book. Catherine left a voicemail saying I'd manipulated David and stolen from their family. Richard threatened legal action. But there was nothing they could do. The transfer was legal. The property was mine. Then things got interesting. Apparently, David's family had been using the old estate for storage. Family furniture, old documents, some of Richard's business files. They'd been doing this for years, even though David technically owned it. Now that I owned it, they assumed they could still use it however they wanted. I got a call from a moving company. They said Catherine had hired them to move items from the estate to a storage facility. I told them they couldn't do that without my permission. The property was mine. The moving company apologized and canceled the job. Catherine called me directly for the first time in months. "You can't deny us access to our own property," she said. "It's not your property. It's mine." "That's a technicality."
"No, it's the law. You're being difficult on purpose. You're trying to hurt this family." "I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I'm just protecting what's mine." She hung up on me. 2 days later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Not David's lawyer, his family's lawyer. It was a formal demand to vacate the property and return it to the family estate. I showed it to David. He laughed. "They can't do anything. The property's yours. They're bluffing." We sent a response through our own lawyer. Basically said, no, the property stays with me, and any further harassment would result in legal action of our own. That's when they showed up. Richard, Catherine, and Miranda drove to the estate one afternoon. I happened to be there, checking on the place with a contractor. I was thinking about renovating it. They walked in like they owned the place. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "We're reclaiming our property," Richard said. "This isn't your property." "This is family property. You have no right to it." "I have every right. My name is on the deed." Catherine stepped forward. "We're not leaving until you sign papers transferring it back to us." "Then you're trespassing. Leave now or I'll call the police." "You wouldn't dare," Miranda said. I pulled out my phone, started dialing. "Wait," Richard said, holding up his hand. "Let's be reasonable. There's nothing to discuss. This property is mine. David gave it to me. It's legal. It's done." "He made a mistake," Catherine said, and for the first time, her voice cracked. "He was emotional. He wasn't thinking clearly." "He was thinking perfectly clearly. You called me a gold digger. You said I was using him. He wanted to prove that he trusted me, that he saw me as his equal. So he gave me something that meant something." "You manipulated him," Miranda accused. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't even want it. But he gave it to me anyway, because he loves me, something you clearly don't understand." Richard's face was red. "You're destroying this family." "No, you destroyed this family the moment you decided I wasn't good enough, the moment you treated me like trash, the moment you made assumptions about who I am without ever trying to know me." Silence. Catherine's eyes filled with tears, not sad tears, angry tears. "Please," she said quietly, "that property has been in our family for generations. And now it's in mine. I'm married to your son. That makes me family too, whether you like it or not." They left after that. I watched them walk to their car, heads down, defeated. I felt a strange mix of emotions: vindication, sadness, relief. David showed up a few minutes later. He'd been waiting in the car, letting me handle it. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Honestly, I don't know." "You did the right thing." "Did I? I just kicked your family out of their own property." "It's not their property. It's yours." He put his arm around me. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now we decide what to do with it." Over the next few weeks, I thought a lot about that property, about what it represented, about what I wanted to do with it. I could have sold it, made millions, proved everyone right about being a gold digger. I could have kept it as a private residence, renovated it for us, lived in luxury. But neither of those options felt right. One night, I was talking to David about it. "What if we turned it into something good?" I said. "Like what?" "A charity, a foundation, something that helps people." He looked at me, surprised. "What kind of charity?" "Something for kids. Kids like me who grew up without much, who need help paying for college, who need support and resources." David smiled. "You want to use the estate your in-laws thought you'd sell for profit to help people for free?" "Yes. That's perfect." We spent months planning it, hired people to renovate the property, turned it into an education center and scholarship foundation. We called it the Legacy Foundation, in honor of David's grandfather, who originally built it. We funded scholarships for kids from low-income families, offered tutoring programs, created a safe space for students who needed support. And then we did something else. We invited David's family to the opening ceremony. They almost didn't come, but David called each of them personally and asked them to be there. For him. The day of the opening, the property looked beautiful, renovated but still maintaining its historic charm, filled with kids and families and volunteers. Richard, Catherine, and Miranda showed up late. They stood in the back, watching. I gave a speech, talked about growing up poor, about struggling, about how education changed my life, about wanting to give other kids the same opportunities. I talked about David's grandfather, who built the estate with hard work and determination, about how his legacy was now helping the next generation. I saw Catherine crying, real crying this time. After the ceremony, they approached me. Richard spoke first. "This is remarkable," he said quietly. "What you've done here."
Thank you. I owe you an apology. We all do. I waited. We were wrong about you, Catherine said, voice thick. So wrong. We assumed the worst. We treated you terribly. And you responded by doing something beautiful with a property you had every right to keep for yourself or sell. Miranda stepped forward. I was horrible to you. I'm sorry. I was jealous, I think. David always had such good judgment, and I couldn't understand why he chose you over someone from our world. But I get it now. He saw something in you that we refuse to see. What's that? I asked. Character. Real character. Not the fake kind we pretend to have in our circle. The real thing. Richard extended his hand. Can you forgive us? I looked at David. He nodded slightly, leaving the decision to me. I can forgive you, I said. But things have to change. You have to see me as family, not as an outsider, not as someone beneath you, as family. We will, Catherine promised. We do. And you know what? They kept that promise. It's been 3 years since that opening ceremony. The Legacy Foundation is thriving. We've helped over 200 kids get scholarships. We've expanded our programs. We've made a real difference. David's family is involved now. Catherine volunteers twice a week. Richard sits on the board of directors. Miranda organizes fundraising events. Our relationship isn't perfect, but it's real. They respect me now. They see me as someone who earned her place, not through money, but through character. Catherine and I have coffee once a month. We talk about the foundation, about life, about everything. She's apologized more times than I can count. She's trying to make up for those first few years, and I appreciate the effort. Richard and I work together on financial planning for the foundation. He's actually really good at what he does, and I've learned a lot from him. We have mutual respect now. Miranda and I will never be best friends, but we're civil. She's dating someone new, someone kind and genuine, and she's happier than I've ever seen her. The property that was supposed to prove I was a gold digger became the thing that proved I wasn't. The thing that brought a broken family back together. The thing that's now changing lives. Looking back, I understand David's family better now. They weren't evil people. They were scared people. Scared of losing control. Scared of outsiders.
scared of change. Wealth does strange things to people. It makes them paranoid, makes them think everyone wants something from them, makes them forget that not everyone values money above everything else. They'd been burned before. Miranda told me once that their brother dated someone who did turn out to be a gold digger. She took him for hundreds of thousands of dollars and disappeared. So when I came along, they projected that fear onto me. It doesn't excuse how they treated me, but it explains it. And honestly, I'm grateful for how things turned out. If they'd accepted me from the beginning, I might never have gotten the estate. David might never have made that grand gesture. The foundation might never have existed. Sometimes the worst experiences lead to the best outcomes. This story isn't just about me and David's family. It's about assumptions, about how we judge people based on where they come from instead of who they are. David's family saw a poor girl and assumed she was after money. They didn't see my work ethic, my education, my values, my character. They just saw someone who didn't belong in their world and decided I must have bad intentions. How many times do we do that to people? How many times do we judge someone based on their background, their appearance, their circumstances, without ever trying to know who they really are? And on the flip side, when someone judges you unfairly, how do you respond? With anger? With revenge? With bitterness? I could have sold that property and walked away with millions just to spite them. I could have cut them out completely, but instead, I used what they thought was a weapon against them as a tool to help others. And in doing so, I proved them wrong in the most powerful way possible. The real wealth in life isn't money. It's not properties or investments or bank accounts. It's the relationships you build, the people you help, the legacy you leave behind. David's grandfather understood that. He built that estate with his own hands, with hard work and determination. He wanted it to mean something, to represent something. Now it does. It represents second chances, opportunity, hope, the kind of things money can't buy, but can definitely provide. I still think about those early days sometimes, about sitting at that rehearsal dinner while Miranda made jokes about me, about overhearing relatives call me a gold digger, about Catherine's disapproving looks. It hurt. It hurt so much, but it also made me stronger. It taught me that people's opinions don't define you, that you can rise above cruelty with grace, that the best revenge is living well and doing good. David and I are happy, really happy. We have a marriage built on trust and respect and genuine love, not because of money, but in spite of it. The foundation is my passion now. Seeing kids get opportunities they wouldn't have had otherwise, watching them succeed, knowing that we played a small part in their journey. That's worth more than any amount of money in the world. And my relationship with David's family, while complicated, is real now. We had to go through hell to get here, but we made it. We're on the other side. Catherine told me something last month that stuck with me. She said, "You gave us back our humanity. We'd forgotten what really mattered, and you reminded us." I think that's what happens when people get too comfortable, when they have too much. They forget what it's like to struggle. They forget what it's like to need help. They forget to be grateful. The foundation forces them to remember, to see kids who remind them that not everyone starts with advantages, that some people have to fight for every opportunity. And that perspective changed them. So, what's the moral of this story? Love and loyalty are the real wealth. David could have sided with his family, could have let their opinions influence him, could have decided I wasn't worth the trouble, but
he didn't. He chose me. He proved his love in the most tangible way possible. He gave me something valuable not because I asked for it, but because he wanted me to know he trusted me. He saw me as his equal. That's what real love looks like. Not grand gestures for show, but meaningful actions that prove what you say. And loyalty? That goes both ways. His family was loyal to their own assumptions and fears. I could have been loyal to my hurt and anger. But instead, we both chose loyalty to something bigger. To the idea that family can change, that people can grow, that forgiveness is possible. The estate could have been a point of division forever. Instead, it became a point of healing, a way to bring everyone together around something good. That's the real treasure, not the property itself, but what it represents now. A place where love and loyalty and second chances live. If someone judges you unfairly, don't fight fire with fire. Fight it with something better. Prove them wrong through your actions, not your words. Show them who you really are in a way they can't ignore. And if you're the one doing the judging, stop. Look deeper. Give people a chance. Don't let your fears and prejudices blind you to someone's true character. We're all works in progress. We all make mistakes. But we all have the capacity to change, to grow, to do better. David's family proved that. I proved that. And the kids who walk through the doors of the Legacy Foundation prove that every single day. Money comes and goes. Properties can be bought and sold. But the impact you make on someone's life, that lasts forever. That's the real wealth. And that's what I'm richest in now.
Hit that subscribe button if this story moved you.